If you want to start learning how to sew, but the advice that you've been getting is make scrunchies, make bags, make pot holders, and you are just like, get out of here. I want to make clothes. I want to make clothes. I don't want to make scrunchies and make bags. This video is for you. I have 20 beginner-ish friendly patterns to make you obsessed with sewing so that you can make the perfect wardrobe for yourself. If that sounds interesting to you, then I want you to keep on watching. Hey, if you're new here, my name's Amanda. I talk about sewing, my acting, costume design, clothing design, and basically whatever I want because it's my channel. Today I wanted to talk about some patterns that some of which I've made, some of which I haven't, that I think are pretty friendly for beginners and adventurous beginners to really get you on your sewing journey. When you're starting patterns, one of those things that people don't tell you is that you need to make mock-ups for everything you're making, and even as you get more advanced, you should be making mock-ups. But really, when you're beginning, you have all this beautiful fabric that you spent money on. Don't waste it on your first draft. Get some cheap fabric from thrift stores. Go get some muslin, which is just like a unbleached cotton fabric to really work on your stuff. Don't cut into the good stuff just yet. Second note, most of the patterns I'm going to talk about today are free patterns, and a lot of them are from moodfabrics.com. And the reason I personally love Mood is that, one, very size inclusive. Most of their patterns go up to about a sewing size 32, which is a 63-inch hip. And also, because they are free patterns, there are still instructions like in their blog posts, but I think they teach you a lot because you have to do a lot of troubleshooting because they're not the most tested patterns. They're kind of just drafted, tested once or twice, and then put up on the site. And I think that can scare a lot of beginners, but if you are very adventurous beginners, I think you can do it. I believe in you, I promise. There are some paid patterns here. Some of them have pay what you can structures. There's all price points that work for people here. So don't feel like that you can't make these patterns because they're all paid. Most of them are indeed free. The other thing I want to point out about specifically Mood patterns, and I'll point some of this out later, but because they use very specific fit measurements, if you are a plus size baddie, there are chances for you to learn techniques that are inherent in learning plus size sewing that I think you will have an advantage over people who don't have to do those adjustments. So that's why I always recommend Mood patterns for a lot of people. They do important if you're a plus size sewer. Learning full bust adjustments, full belly adjustments, full butt adjustments, that's not everyone's bag, I get it. However, it is a sewing journey and not a sewing destination. Am I right? Okay, so part one, we're gonna talk about skirts. I think skirts, if you're gonna start making garments, this is probably the easiest thing to start with. People will tell you that the first thing to do is make a circle skirt or make some sort of panel skirt, but I have skirts here that I think will teach you some valuable skills and also get you to getting ready to add on to your skill set. I'm also I have a little white space here, so I'm gonna put pictures over here. The first thing is from Peppermint magazine, which is a magazine that has a lot of sewing patterns on their website. One of them is called the pocket skirt, and some great skills that it teaches you. Making an elastic waistband, super simple. Getting you in the habit of straight stitching and just making side stitches, possibly a back seam stitch. Teaches you basic hemming, and also teaches you, one, adding a pocket and cutting out that pocket so you can add it, and top stitching because you have to top stitch a patch pocket onto the pattern. The note about Peppermint is that is where the pay what you can structure comes in. You can get the pattern for free, some patterns for free if you sign up for their newsletter, but I encourage you, if you're able to pay what you can, to do so because it does take money to host these things on your website, to create the pattern, get it tested, all of that stuff. So anytime you can pay in a pay what you can structure, I really encourage you to do so. Really support indie pattern makers so that they can keep making the patterns that we all love. The second skirt pattern is also from Peppermint. This is the wrap skirt, and this one I thought was really great too because it's a little bit of the same skills that you're learning, but you're now adding your first set of sewing darts into it because there are back darts in the back of the skirt. And also learning how to really get corners and ties really mastered in so that you can move on to little more advanced techniques down the line. I also am a sucker for mustard, and what happens when I see something in mustard, I'm like, oh, that's really cute. But really it's just in a mustard yellow. And then the third skirt I wanted to talk about, because I'm only going to talk about 3 skirts today, but because most skirts, once you've made one, you've made a bunch. So, is the Mood Fabrics Indigo skirt. And I am going to tell you, this skirt's great for one, because one, you're learning your first new set of seams rather than doing a straight seam and then closing off the seams. These are French seamed, which is when you when you set the pieces to the wrong side, stitch within the 1/2 inch seam allowance, so less than 1/2 inch, around 1/4 inch. And then you press it so that everything is right sides together, and then seam it again, and it encloses the seam in. If you want a French seams tutorial, just let me know. I am working on another sewing project soon, so hopefully I'll be able to just use that and demonstrate it there. But French seaming, really great way to enclose seams without doing all this extra work, especially if you're like me and you do not own a serger. I personally love French seams. I know they can be kind of annoying, especially when you're first learning them, but man, once you get them down, they're fantastic. Another thing about the indigo skirt from Mood is I love this pattern. This pattern is extremely easy. It's probably one of the best beginner friendly patterns. The only thing that doesn't make it beginner friendly is that you're using a slippery fabrics, usually like silk satin, polyester satin, like silk charmeuse, like something along those lines, something that's really flowy and kind of slippery in a way that isn't beginner friendly. But once you figure out all the finicky stuff to deal with slippery fabrics, like using clips instead of pins, or making sure you're having everything exactly seamed together and all of that, it comes up with a really beautiful result. As I get closer to spring, summer, I do plan on making more of those skirts. I think they're a really great staple to have in your wardrobe. And for me, it's something like, oh, I could have that in every color and it'll be fantastic. Perfect in a silk satin, perfect in a even like a polyester satin that doesn't move the same way. Still works really great for those types of patterns. And I kind of also want to try one in a linen this summer. I feel like that would be really fun. So yeah, the Mood Fabrics Indigo skirt, really love that pattern. Really great addition to anyone's wardrobe. Probably a wardrobe staple that you could easily make over and over and over again, and it would not feel old. You can easily pop these out in a couple of hours, even as a beginner. Really great pattern to add. So next up, I want to talk about some tops. First one is the Cassidy wrap top from Helen's Closet. There are a few Helen's Closet patterns in this video that I wanted to show, all really great wardrobe staples and all kind of really pretty and versatile that I think would go really well in a lot of wardrobes. So the first one is the Cassidy wrap top. It has this really great wrap detail, a lot of tying in the back. The reason I also like this as a first top, even though it's technically listed as an intermediate pattern, I think it's really great for adventurous beginners. One, they do have cup versions. So there's a smaller size range that uses a B cup adjustment, and then there's the larger size range that uses a D cup orientation. This is kind of where you start learning about sewing cup sizes in that it's kind of similar to bra sizes, but it's not. And the thing that you'll need to know as a plus size person is your high bust measurement versus your full bust measurement. And that is the difference that you will use to determine your cup size measurement. Next up is the Helen's Closet Luna top. This one, really cute, nice swing top. Also a free pattern when you sign up for their newsletter. Just thought it was really cute and just a really great staple to add. Another thing you could probably pop out in a couple hours. Also adding to that is the Helen's Closet Ashton top. This one's really similar to the Luna top, but what I like about the Ashton top is that it does introduce specifically bust darts. Next up is the Mood Fabrics Lavender Tee. Like I said, a lot of Mood Fabrics in this video, but the lavender tee is just a simple t-shirt. and it's got a little bit of a curve cut. I think this is like probably the point where you might feel confident enough to work with stretch fabric. A big caveat here, I personally hate working with stretch fabrics. Next up is the Mood Fabrics Wren shirt. Now this one is basically a button down, but there is an option to have a more detailed sleeve. And I would mostly, if I'm gonna make this pattern, I would just make the standard button. But I think the Wren shirt's a really good option because it's got a really simple construction. If you really want something a little bit more elaborate, you can add that sleeve detail. And because of that, it's now teaching you to work with unique sleeves if you want to start doing that. Also working with, you know, yoke techniques. So if you want to start getting into menswear, this is a great gap before moving to menswear. If that is something that you're interested in doing, I think this is a good start because there's already still, for people who have curves, there's still those curve cuts involved in this particular shirt. Yeah, and this is another one because you're working with, you know, Mood specifically. They use a B cup for all their patterns no matter what. So you are gonna have to do a full bust adjustment once you get up to any size, really, for anyone who's got a bust differential that's higher than a B cup, so that you can figure this out. And I think that's another thing to know about all Mood patterns. All right, last top I really wanted to talk about was the Helen's Closet Gilbert top. It is also basically just like the Wren shirt, but I wanted to bring this up because unlike the Wren shirt, which is more for poplins and things like that, the Gilbert top seems like it's more for slinkier, silkier fabrics as well as linens, which can be a little bit more medium weight than, say, a cotton poplin or cotton shirting. So I kind of wanted to give you the option if you didn't want to exclusively work with a poplin shirting, that I thought was also really cute as well, but still kind of taught you a little bit of the same stuff that the Wren shirt would do, especially if you don't like Mood fabrics, which, you know, to each their own. Wanted to give another option for a button-down staple like that. I wanted to talk about some pants for part 3. A note about pants in general. My personal bias is to a wide leg pant. I love a wide leg pant. There's something really flowy and really chic and really simple while still looking put together about a wide leg pant that I am really glad that I got out of them, out of the straight leg pants instead. However, most wide leg pants, unless there's something really funky going on the cuff of the leg, you can easily taper them down. There is at least one pair of pants that do already taper, but you can do this with any pair of pants theoretically. And if you do that, then there's your first foray into pattern drafting. So there you go. So the first pattern I wanted to show was the Mood Fabrics Linda pants. I've also made this pair of pants a couple of times. I've modified them to be wide leg. I've kept them as tapered legs. Really just it's a versatile pattern that I really like. And also one of the great skills that it teaches you is how to do like specific types of pockets for the pants, and just like doing those little cutout insert pockets. I don't know what they're called, but the way that it's set up is that you get like a pocket pattern, you get a cutout in the front, and then you get a back and it's attached that way. Another thing about Mood patterns is that they also have very standardized rises that are kind of industry standard in a way. If you're also like me and you have a butt, you'll want to do a full belly or full butt adjustment. They're kind of similar in a way to full bust adjustments. You're gonna have to do that with almost any pattern, but especially with Mood patterns, it is an adjustment that you will need to make. Next up is the Mood Fabrics Aster pants. Just a simple wide leg pant. I think they're really versatile. I know that there is technically a pin tuck in the pant, I believe. It's not required that you put it in there. It doesn't add a ton of extra length or fit changes to the body by not including them. But I like that there is that option there, and you'll learn things like adding belt loops and making sure the taper kind of fits your body. You can even adjust all of these to be shorts. So really easy pattern to add. The next one, I was surprised that I only have this one pattern from this brand on here, but I realized it's the only pattern from this brand that I have sewn. And mostly because most of the things that this brand makes kind of don't really fit the style that I like for my clothes, and that is cashmerette. I think there's a place for cashmerette in the plus size space. I mean, the work that they've done for plus size sewing is extremely important. I've just realized that a lot of the stuff is like never been my personal style, but I wanted to bring them up. And I wanted to bring up specifically the Calder pants and shorts. Like I said, all of these either have a short version or they could easily be made into shorts. Pants are just shorts that are just elongated, so it's not like it's a hard fix. You just might need to do some crotch adjustments. But Cashmerette does this really cool thing where, depending on the shape of your body in proportion to your bust, waist, and hips, so if you're quote unquote more of an apple shape or more of a pear shape, they've got different like cut accommodations that are in their pants patterns. And I think that is so cool and very important. So if you want to start with a wide leg pant, that's a good one I recommend. But really great pattern to make. Really, it's more beginner friendly than whatever pattern thing it implies on there, just so you know. The next one I wanted to talk about was the Helen's Closet June pants. Just a really simple wide leg pant with an elasticated waistband, really comfortable. Looks like it could be a fun like leisure pant, something for spring or summer. Really enjoyed that. And then the last pair of pants I wanted to mention were the Helen's Closet Winslow Culottes. I've heard they're back in, apparently, so I figured I would include a cute pair. I think this pair is really cute. I think it could be great for spring or summer. Really great, nice, flowy, like cotton ones. This seems like a great pattern to repurpose a pair of like good bed sheets or something like that if you're someone who does secondhand fabric. Just something nice and flowy and cottony I think would be really fun with these. Next category, so we're talking dresses, we're talking sets, we're talking jumpsuits. This first pattern is the Tiarella dress by Mood Fabrics. I also love this pattern, but not because I've made the dress, because I actually haven't made the dress. What I have done is, because this is a basic block dress pattern, like a basic block sheath dress pattern, it's a really simple block on the bodice and a really simple block on the skirt. What I have done with this is I've taken this pattern and I have made pattern blocks out of them. Did a ton of adjustments and mock-ups to really make them fit my body, and I use it as a basic block for any time I'm doing pattern drafting, and that's why I wanted to recommend this. At some point you might feel confident enough to get into pattern drafting, and I think you should, because pattern drafting is a little bit like witchcraft, and when you tell people that you just like make your patterns from scratch, like there's something like about the awe that you get from people that's really gratifying, and it makes you want to do it more. So if you're looking for a free pattern that will kind of serve as that base block so that you can keep working through it and modifying and making the perfect adjustments for yourself, the Tiarella dress I think is a really good pattern for that. If you want to learn more about pattern drafting specifically and making unique things from blocks, one account that I recommend is the Closet Historian. She mostly does a lot of vintage and costuming work, but the principles are the same. And her channel is just really informative. She takes you through her whole drafting process and everything. And you find that like it's actually really helpful, a really great way to learn pattern drafting from a YouTuber specifically. So I'm gonna link that channel down below and I want you to check her out, because that, like her, it's like magic what she does, and it always turns out super cool. So recommend the Closet Historian so much. If you're watching this, you probably already watch her channel, but I'm gonna point it out anyway. She doesn't need my promotion at all, but I'm going to do it anyway because I can. Next up is the Saguaro set from Friday Pattern Company. I wanted to recommend this because one, it kind of combines a few elements from earlier patterns that I've mentioned while still being in a set. And also I really wanted to make this pattern for a long time. I actually think it might be on my Make 9 this year to make this pattern. So I think it's a really great way to have a matching set that you can mix and match with other things depending on if you wear prints or solids. I also wanted to add the Saturday skirt set, also from Friday Pattern Company. I think this is a really cute way to like incorporate more stuff. You could even make this skirt a bias cut skirt instead. You could do this with like a button down shirt and a skirt. You could really have a lot of fun with this. And I think this is like sets like this that are matching sets are really great ways to use those like beautiful printed fabrics that you've spent a lot of money on after you've done a mock-up to determine all your fit things. Next up, I wanted to mention the Selena set from BF Patterns, which BF Patterns is the pattern end of Blackbird Fabrics, which is a Canadian fabric company. They're really focused on mindful use of fabrics and things like that. And so they've recently gotten into patterns. And when I was kind of doing research on patterns for this was kind of an addendum, kind of a different take on the set from the skirt set from 5 Day Pattern Company. One thing I really liked in this image that I'll show you is that there is a modification where you can attach the 2 pieces together, so it's like a fun little cutout dress. I thought that was so cute, so I really wanted to include it here. I think also too, just like the Saturday skirt set, and even possibly more so, this one seems a little bit more beginner friendly because you're not adding all those color elements. So if you want to get into 2-piece sets, I think the Selena set is a good option. Next up is the Helen's Closet Ruby overalls. Something about an overall seems like so cute and I don't have any overalls. I don't even remember the last time I wore overalls, mostly because I have specific rise requirements. I would have to make overalls and jumpsuits for myself. So I think that if I were to make overalls, this is probably the pattern that I would use. There's something that's like so cute and a little bit whimsical, but still really practical, really great, and also really great to like experiment with 1-piece sets. So I thought this was a good option to add if you're looking for a pair of overalls to add into your wardrobe. Next up is the Helen's Closet Orchard Tee and Dress, which is a free pattern as well when you sign up for their newsletter. I just thought it seemed like a really great summery swing dress. This might be a good time to use some beautiful stretch cotton broadcloth or like linen. This is like a good thing that's kind of versatile. You can add it with a belt, or you could really modify it so that it feels like a t-shirt. You could lengthen the t-shirt and shorten it so that it's a crop or a longer top. I thought this was really a really cute, simple addition that you could easily make over and over again. The last dress I wanted to include is something that if you wanted to start foraying into formal wear, or if you wanted to even foray into lounge wear, which is how this pattern is advertised, it is the Mood Fabrics Terra dress. It is a simple bodice with a big old long flowing skirt. What's great about this one is that one of the skills it teaches you is instead of just doing simple cuts for skirts, you're now doing a paneled skirt, because there's no way you can have a skirt this long and not have it be in panels. So it teaches you to really work with large swaths of fabric, working in panels, and also doing those really simple bodice adjustments. And something that you could do with if you really wanted to invest in like a beautiful silky dress, something that's kind of lightweight, like they advertise it on the site in like a lingerie like lounge dress, which I think would be so fun. Or you could take off that lace and like add some other details, and suddenly it's something formal wear for a dress. Or you could even add fabric to the front and modify it, and now it's a cowl neck dress. And I think this is also a really great staple formal wear pattern to have that you can easily modify the bodice for and really make something special out of a really beautiful special bit of fabric. Look, if you are an aspiring sewist and you still want to make a bag, I did pull 2 little bonus bags that I thought were really cute that I think would be good things to add to your wardrobe. First is the BF Patterns Bestie bag. I think this bag is so cute. It has been absolutely going viral. And I think it's also kind of a slightly unique shake in that it's that like this, it's kind of like a belt bag, kind of like a crossbody. And it's also really versatile. You can do really a lot of stuff with it. And you can pretty much do whatever print. You could also, this is kind of be a great place to explore different types of patterns and things. Really cute pattern here. And then the last pattern I wanted to talk about is a free pattern. It is from Helen's Closet. It is the Costa Tote. I think it's really cute because one, you can do this really color block thing that the pattern offers here. And I believe that little darker block at the bottom, I think those are actually outside pockets that you can add as well. And if they're not, you can definitely add outside pockets if you want. This is your bag. You can do what you want with it. That is 20 plus some bonuses of beginner friendly patterns that will turn you from a complete sewing novice to an absolute sewing fiend to really get you started on your Me Made wardrobe journey. Let me know down below if you've made any of these patterns, how they worked for you. Tell me if there's a beginner friendly pattern that isn't a bag or a scrunchie, that is a garment that you think people should be making. Let your fellow sewists know down in the comments. Until next time, if you like this video, please give it a like. And I also encourage you to subscribe. So in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.